What's going on, guys? Beller Baller here, back with another Rocket League replay. Today we are on board with CRR. CRR, as many of you know, is an 18-year-old Spaniard player. He's in his fourth season in the RLCS. Currently playing with Complexity. Same team, new region. CRR, Reysbull, and newcomer DORITO, who was a longtime teammate of his before he came over from Europe, moved over to the South American region. Part of that is just due to visa issues so that they can all play together. When CRR moved over from Spain to Complexity, initially he was having to play out of Canada because his Spanish visa wouldn't allow him to play in the U.S. So they said, screw that. We're just going to play in Sam, and they have looked pretty incredible. This is Game 6 of the semifinals in the third open qualifier against Hero Base, and they may or may not come away with the win here, but it is a pretty exciting game from CRR. Great positioning, great mechanics. We see him on his Octane, which is his preferred vehicle. He plays some obligatory Fennec, as does every other pro, but I like his creativity and especially his offensive dynamism most when he's on the Octane, as they're going to give up an early goal here to drops from the old crew roster from last season. So, talking about this team briefly, we all know Reysbull. He definitely deserves his own video in the near future. I think I've come out with something on him in the past, and I'll link that here on the video. But DORITO, longtime teammate, as Reysbull is going to go ahead and get the answer there. They actually came up together, so CRR hasn't played for too many teams. If you look at his Wikipedia, most of them he's played alongside DORITO. So White Demons, FC Barcelona, even Guild, all of those rosters had the two of them in combination with some other, third iteration. And CRR helped take Guild to the grand finals alongside DORITO and Devo, one of those thirds, as CRR almost gets a pretty ridiculous double tap, like delayed musty there for a attempted goal. But that was really CRR's first. I love the way he takes off for this shot. He does so many cool things, it's hard for me to keep my train of thought going. But that Gamers 8, it's not official RLCS, so does it totally count? Not totally, but hey, it's still all the top teams. It's a lot of prize money, so we'll consider it. And they went to the grand finals, which was pretty surprising for this roster. I mean, everybody knew CRR and DORITO. They'd been around. Of course, Devo, long-time RLCS legend, but a grand finals seemed a little improbable. And most of that was CRR. He was playing the 1v1s to get to that grand finals. They overcame FaZe, where he beat First Killer in overtime of a 1v1, where First Killer kind of gave up a goal. It was just seemed like the batteries on the controller died there for a second for him. But great event for him. Put him in the public eye in a way that CRR hadn't been before. Moves over, beats Complexity along the way, comes over, joins the boys as they got rid of Shad. So it was himself, Reysbull, and AJG. And CRR has just been, I think the easiest way to describe him to someone who's never seen him is he's just a really solid player, often doesn't make mental mistakes, and I'd say the core tenet of his gameplay is his dribbling ability. Basically, anytime CRR finds himself with space, it seems like he really likes to take the ball and just dribble and beat one or beat two to set something up for his teammates, create some chaos on the other end, get the ball out in transition. And I love all the diving saves and just the great read that he has for the game. I say that as he completely whiffs on trying to get a read on that backboard touch, but really big fan of CRR and his gameplay. 22 A-tier events, 2 wins. One of those was Sam from this most recent split, and one of them was from North America. I think they won the Spring Open last season, if I remember correctly. And including those 2 wins, 7 top 4 placements out of 22. Fairly good. 4 S tier events, semifinals in last season's winter major. They went to game 7 against FaZe and then lost 3-0 in that game, kind of fell apart. And oh no, are we not going to be able to talk over everything in the video? Don't worry, we're going to overtime, guys. So one thing that really stood out to me about CRR was when he was speaking with Lawler on his YouTube channel. It might have been streaming too, I don't remember. But he had talked about how one of the main reasons he had moved over to North America was providing financially for his family back home, and there's just more prize pool in North America, so that kind of was part of the move, and that's something that kind of, you know, stood with me. When you listen to him in interviews, he seems very mature, and so a move like that to be kind of one of the reasons that he's moving his career overseas makes sense, and made me, you know, a fan of CRR as a person as well as a player. I'm not going to go through all the stats. I will put them up on screen showing this season, last season, and LAN. Surprisingly, and great defensive play there, surprisingly, some of his best stats are actually on LANs, so that's exciting as we see them as the 2nd seed for South America going into this fall major. They got the first matchup against Vitality, which on paper is a tough matchup, historically would be a tough matchup, but I got to tell you, Vitality has looked a little shaky to start this season, and Complexity, if it weren't for FURIA, risky pass by Reysbull here, and CRR is barely going to get back to that one. But if it weren't for FURIA, Complexity has looked very dominant. I don't think they've lost many series at all. They lost one to Ninjas in Pajamas in Swiss, as CRR almost puts this game away and ends the series there. But FURIA have just kind of had their number. Complexity did beat them once to get their, you know, their A-tier win, but you know, it's kind of FURIA's region. And I think that historically at LANs, we've seen South American, even, you know, 2 and 3 seeds be pretty awesome. So for it to be as strong a team as Complexity, who I think had a very good chance of making the major if they would have stayed in the North American region, bodes well for them to start things off against Vitality. But yeah, the big one that stands out is his rating. 1.11 rating at LAN events, which is about 0.1% higher, points higher than what we anticipate for him online. May not sound like much, but when you consider that almost every single player has their rating reduced once they get to the international stage, any bump up is good, and a pretty significant bump up is pretty impressive from CRR. Somewhere he excels is creating, I would say, as he's going to turn over trying to do something funky there, but not someone who does a lot of just straightforward passing to his teammates, as DORITO's going to get a breakaway here and unable to put it away as he tries to get the finesse touch. But the stats for CRR can be a little deceiving, as he's going to miss that one and create a good opportunity here for Hero Base. But the stats are a little misleading just because of how Complexity plays. If you go through their games and just take a look, as he cuts that one off, it's surprising to see how many times Complexity keep their games so low scoring. So the statistics don't necessarily always give us the best idea of how good these players are. I anticipate Complexity could certainly be a top 8 seed, or a top 8 team rather, at this upcoming major. I'm excited to see them there and see what their, you know, proverbial captain here in CRR can lead them to. So what do you guys anticipate from Complexity in the upcoming major? What do you think about this team so far in their performances? How do you feel about CRR's improvement from last season to this one? Let me know in the comments below. Guys, thanks for stopping by, and until next time, take it easy.